So we are reading Zero Limits by Dr. Joe Vitale and Dr. Hewlin. We are on chapter 16, Zero Limits Basic Principles. We are on page 197 of the book and 197 of the PDF.
Zero Limits Basic Principles.
Shimangla, your fan.
Zero Limits Basic Principles. The peace for always, now and forever, and evermore. Ka maluhya no na va apao, no kiva amao lua a. Number 1. You don't have a clue what is going on. It is impossible to be aware of everything happening in and around you, consciously or unconsciously. Your body and mind are regulating themselves right now without you being aware of it. The numerous invisible signals are in the air, from radio waves to thought forms, which you have no conscious sense of at all. You are indeed co-creating your own reality right now, but it is happening unconsciously without your conscious knowledge or control. This is why you can think positive thoughts all you like and still be broke. Your conscious mind isn't the creator.
So now this is a very, very profound statement that he's made over here. Your conscious mind isn't the creator. So you can do all the positive thinking that you want. You can do all the visualization that you want. But at the end of the day, if your underlying state of consciousness, the level of consciousness where you're operating from, does not shift and is not in resonance or in coherence with what needs to manifest, it is never going to manifest. The simple reason is that we are really not aware of 99% of what is happening around us. Again, we come back to the same principle that the conscious mind is only looking at one bit of data, and the subconscious mind or that expanded self is looking at 1 million bits of data in the same time period per second, you could say, right? So when we don't know everything, how can we actually perceive what is good, what is bad, what is our direction that we need to take, whether we need to take it or not? The only way to do this is to get into expanded states and allow that state to drive us rather than us driving ourselves. So let divinity take over whatever you are doing. Now, again, coming back to this is what I like about the Monroe process. You can go into these altered states and get information for yourself. We were just talking about equanimity before everything started. The idea is to allow we can only allow when we are in an equilibrium, when we are in coherence with whatever is happening. So we need to get strategies in our place to step out of the way, because consciously we really don't know what is happening. So your conscious mind is not the creator. Everything comes from below the line, right? And the more you allow it and accept it, again, we come back to the 4 S's, right? Swata, Sahaj, Shresht, and Svikar. If we start operating from these kinds of tenets, right, things will start really happening in our lives.
Number 2, you don't have control over everything. Obviously, if you don't know everything that is happening, you can't control it all. It's an ego trip to think you can make the world do your bidding. Since your ego can't see much of what is going on, Letting your ego decide what is best for you isn't wise. You have choice, but you don't have control. You can use your conscious mind to begin to choose what you would prefer to experience, but you have to let go of whether you manifest it or how or when. Surrender is key.
Shivangla, which network are you using? You're breaking up. Okay, so now what is he saying over here? Surrender is the key. You may prefer something to manifest, but we really don't know whether it's actually good for us or not, right? So the point is that we need to step out of the way. What we can do is we can go into an expanded state, which is something that we do again in the Monroe process. We have an exercise called patterning. This is one of the exercises that we actually do in the personal development program, where we, with our conscious mind, say that, okay, this is what I think I would like to manifest, right? In my physical body, in my emotional body, in my spiritual bodies, where what I would like to do, where would I like to be, etc., etc. So we plan it, and then we go into that expanded state and throw it out. But the caveat always is this or better, and may thy will be done, right? So we are actually surrendering into that state, whatever that state wants us to experience, and we allow it to manifest in our life. So again, surrender is the key. We are always attempting to control things, and this is something that we read about in the Shift, by the book that we read by Dr. Wayne Dyer, where he clearly says you have to shift from control to trust. Right? We have to trust the process, that whatever is happening for our good. It is happening for our best interest. This is again something that is being talked about in the Vedanta sessions also, where he says that whatever occurs in your life, whatever is coming into your life, is coming into your life for your highest good. So all we need to do is to just say yes and then work on it. That's it. So you need to surrender into the process.
Number 3, you can heal whatever comes your way. Whatever appears in your life, no matter how it got there, is up for healing simply because it's now on your radar. The assumption here is that if you can feel it, you can heal it. If you can see it in someone else and it bothers you, then it's up for healing. Or, as I'm told, Oprah once said, if you can spot it, you've got it. You may have no idea why it's in your life or how it got there, but you can let it go because you're now aware of it. The more you heal what comes up, the clearer you are to manifest what you prefer, because you will be freeing stuck energy to use for other matters.
So, what is he saying over here? If anything comes into your conscious awareness, it has come into your conscious awareness because you can do something about it, right? Either you can clear it or you can act on it. The point here is very clear, that if you want to sort out anything, the first thing that is there, which is required, is that you need to be aware of whatever it is. Like if you have a problem, you need to be aware as to what the problem is. If you're not aware of it, how can you sort it out? The next step in this process is that you need to accept it. Now, suppose something comes into your awareness, but you reject it. Nahin, ye to ho hi nahi sakta. That's over. Matter is closed. So the second step is acceptance. The third step in this process is to understand or brainstorm how you can deal with it. What are the steps you can take to handle it? What can you do now? You could use Ho'oponopono, you could raise your level of consciousness. What is the steps that you can take to handle it, right? Then you implement the steps. So you implement the steps. That is the fourth step. And then fifth step is you observe whether it's working or not. If it's not working, you go back to level 3 or the third step, and take out another one of the ideas that you've had when you're brainstorming. Now, you could also say that, okay, Ho'oponopono works for me. I will clear anything that comes into my awareness, which is creating a flutter in my field, which is not, which is affecting my coherence, which is affecting my equilibrium, and I will just clear it. That will also work, right? So what he's saying very clearly here is that anything that comes into your conscious awareness, you are capable of handling or of healing, which is a actual fact.
Or you are 100% responsible for all you experience. Whatever happens in your life is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. The concept of personal responsibility goes beyond what you say, do, and think. It includes what others say, do, and think that shows up in your life. If you can take complete responsibility for all that appears in your life, then when someone surfaces with a problem, then it is your problem too. This ties into the principle 3, which states you can heal whatever comes your way. In short, you can't blame anyone or anything for your current reality. All you can do is take responsibility for it, which means accept it, own it, and love it. The more you heal what comes up, the more you get in tune with the source.
So, so again, it's a matter of taking responsibility for whatever is happening in your life. Now, when we look at it from that expanded state of consciousness, when we are operating in Focus 27, before we take birth, the concept is very clear that we actually decide whatever we are wanting to experience in this physical reality when we are in that expanded state. And a lot of planning goes around to create a situation, to create a scenario for us to be able to experience whatever we have wanted to experience. Now, we are operating there in a very powerful expanded state. Now, if we know that, okay, I've decided to experience this, when you come over here and that thing is happening to you, then you will not appreciate it and you will not really experience the experience for the experience. So, what happens is that our conscious awareness gets compressed and we don't remember that we are the ones who have actually planned what we want to experience. So, what he's saying is very clear here that anything that comes into your life, you are responsible for because you have decided to experience that. Now, the moment you start taking responsibility for it, you drop the blame game, you drop the justification game, then you start empowering yourself to be able to deal with it, right? And anything that comes into our life, which is there in point 3, that whatever comes up in your life, you are capable of healing, you are capable of handling. So the moment we start going into that bent of thinking, everything starts to fall into place. And naturally, the more clear you are, the more connected you are to source, because ultimately all these facades that we have created for us, all these control dramas that we've created, we need to transcend them to clear ourselves, to be able to really vibrate at that higher frequency of consciousness.
Your ticket to zero limits is saying the phrase, I love you. The path that gets you peace beyond all understanding, from healing to manifestation, is the simple phrase, I love you. Saying it to the divine cleans everything in you so you can experience the miracle of this moment, zero limits. The idea is to love everything. Love the extra fat, the addiction, the problem child, or neighbor or spouse. Love it all. Love transmutes the stuck energy and frees it. Saying I love you is the open sesame to experience the divine.
So Whenever you are saying I love you, you're automatically shifting from the left side of the grid to the right side of the grid, right? And all manifestation takes place from the right side of the grid. Nothing manifests from the left side of the grid. Now, the other concept here is that whatever is occurring in your life, if you can start being grateful for it, if you can start appreciating it, then automatically you will start loving it, right? Now, the moment you start doing that, you create the shift in your life to become closer to source, because only you can get closer to source when you're on the right side of the grid, right? So whatever is occurring in your life, if you can actually genuinely, with feeling and the thought and the feeling, you can actually start loving it, then you've made it. Then there is no jhamela in your life anymore.
Number 6, inspiration is more important than intention. Intention is a toy of the mind. Inspiration is a directive from the divine. At some point, you'll surrender and start listening rather than begging and waiting. Intention is trying to control life based on the limited view of the ego. Inspiration is receiving a message from the divine and then acting on it. Intention works and brings results. Inspiration works and brings miracles. Which do you prefer?
Okay. So now there are levels of consciousness, and there are levels from which we are operating, right? Now, if you tell a youngster who has not yet experienced life that you need to be inspired to do something, now that is not putting it in the correct way for that particular individual or that youngster, right? We read about this in the magical child, where we saw very clearly that there is a matrix system, and there is a growth which takes the child through these various stages of the matrices. Now, the first matrix was the womb of the mother, right? The child got out of the womb of the mother. Then the second matrix became the mother herself. Then the third matrix became the child's environment, the close environment. Then he stepped out into the world, and then he went into abstract thought, right? Now, what we are talking about here, when we are talking about intention, it's like the level 3, where that child is going out into the world and starting to interact with the world. And the inspiration is coming when he started to interact with in the fifth matrix, where he's starting to interact with the abstract or the divine consciousness. So we need to go through the process of setting intent, working for the intent. And then once we start understanding and realizing that our actions, which are coming more from the egocentric state of consciousness, do not work most of the time, and even if they work, the happiness that we are craving does not come from that, then only the intention will drop after some time. And then the magic will start happening when you start letting go, you start surrendering, what he talked about in point number 2, and you start allowing things to happen. Now, a fast track to this is what we are doing in the Monroe process, because it takes you into that altered state and you can actually experience that state of consciousness. Now, once you've experienced that state, it becomes easy for you to bring it into your physical 3D reality life. But till you have not experienced this intention or this inspiration bit, it becomes a little difficult to shift gears, to get into out of intention and into inspiration. But of course, inspiration is where we want to get. So the 3 levels, right? You can operate from memory, where intention is operating from. You can operate from inspiration, and then we can operate from zero. So the ultimate goal is to get into zero, but it's the stepwise process. So in the beginning, we'll operate from memory, then we'll shift to inspiration, and then we will go into zero.
How to heal yourself or anyone else and discover health, wealth, and happiness. Here are two Ho'oponopono proven ways to heal yourself or anyone else of anything you notice. Remember that what you see in another is also in you. So all healing is self-healing. No one else has to do these processes but you. The entire world is in your hands.
So,
First,
so again, over here, if you notice something, that means that there is a resonance for that in your field. Otherwise, you would not be noticing it. You will ignore it. So if you are noticing something, you become automatically responsible for it, and it is a part of your world. So you are again responsible for it.
it's disappeared 1 second.
Zero limit PDF on the top. Just click it.
First, this is the prayer Morna said to help heal hundreds, if not thousands of people. It's simple but powerful. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your family, relatives, and ancestors in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, from the beginning of our creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let this cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations, and transmute these unwanted energies to pure light. And it is done.
So very clearly, there she's taking into generational transgressions. And we have seen this in family constellation, where through generations, the same issue starts popping up again and again and again, right? So it's like that soundtrack which is playing at the background, and we are not even aware of that soundtrack. So what this affirmation over here is actually clearing us through generations. So it is already, it is creating or removing all the energetic blocks that may have been coming through our ancestors.
Second, the way Dr. Huron likes to heal is to first say, I'm sorry and please forgive me. You say this to acknowledge that something, without you knowing what it is, has gotten into your body, mind, system. You have no idea how it got there. You don't need to know. If you are overweight, you simply got the program that is making you that way. By saying, I'm sorry, you are telling the divine that you want forgiveness inside yourself for whatever brought it to you. You're not asking the divine to forgive you, you're asking the divine to help you forgive yourself.
So the divine doesn't need anything from you. Okay. The divine is whole. The divine has everything. So whenever we are saying the phrases, when it comes out, that whatever is creating the flutter in our field, we are taking responsibility for it. So we are sorry that that has created a flutter or it has come into my field, right? Because I am responsible for creating it. Now, since I've creating it and it's creating the flutter, it is making me go out of equanimity and equilibrium. That means that the entire universe is going out of equanimity and equilibrium because I'm a part of the universe, right? So I'm saying, I am sorry for creating the flutter. Please forgive me. So I'm attempting to ask the divine to help me forgive myself, right? Now, this is one of the biggest things that we have, self-criticism. We are constantly criticizing ourselves. And that is something that we need to stop immediately, because we need to start loving ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, then how can we love someone who's outside us? Technically speaking, we are a part of the whole, right? So if I don't love myself, how can I love anything else? right? And then you're getting the divine to forgive you. And then the next phase is that you say, I love you. So whatever is creating the flutter, if I start resonating with it, I allow it to harmonize into my system. And then I say, thank you for whatever information, knowledge that you've got into my field, for bringing it into my awareness, allowing me to take responsibility. I am grateful for it. So you're not saying thank you to divinity technically over here. You're saying thank you to yourself. But of course, you're part of divinity. So you're saying thank you to divinity as well.
From there, you say thank you and I love you. When you say thank you are expressing gratitude. You are showing your faith that the issue will be resolved for the highest good of all concerned. The I love you transmutes the energy from stuck to flowing. It reconnects you to the divine. Since the zero state is one of pure love and has zero limits, you are beginning to get to that state by expressing love.
So again, gratitude and appreciation, right, are the triggers to shift you or your state of consciousness. So once you use gratitude, you will shift into, and that I love you will shift into that state of love. So you're shifting from fear, the two base emotions, from fear to love. Okay, so from a depleting force, you're going into an uplifting force. And of course, for the highest good, because we really, with our conscious minds, we really don't know what is the best for us as well as whatever is there around us.
What happens next is up to the divine. You may be inspired to take action of some sort. Whatever it is, do it. If you aren't sure about the actions to take, use the same healing method on your confusion. When you are clear, you'll know what to do. This is a simplified version of the modernized Ho'oponopono key methods of healing. To better understand the self-identity through Ho'oponopono process, sign up for a workshop. To understand what Dr. Hewlin and I are doing together, see www.zerolimits.info.
So we definitely plan to go through the workshop of Dr. Hewlin and Joe Vitale. We'll set up some times and dates, and then people can actually register, and we will go through the whole process.
Appendix C. Who's in charge? Dr. Ihaliakala Hewlin. Thank you for coming along with me in reading this appendix. I am grateful. I love self-identity Ho'oponopono and dear Morna Nalamaku, Simeona Kahuna Lapau, who so graciously shared it with me in November 1982. This article is based on thoughts logged in my 2005 notebook. 9th January 2005. Problems can be solved without knowing what the heck is going on. Realizing and appreciating this is sheer relief and joy for me. Problem solving, part of the purpose for existence, is what self-identity Ho'oponopono is about. To solve problems, two questions must be addressed. Who am I? Who's in charge? To apprehend the nature of the cosmos begins with the insight of Socrates. Know thyself.
So, so when you really look at why are we here, we are actually here to find ourselves. Okay, that's the ultimate. So who am I? What am I? What am I doing here? These are basic questions which when you start going into a spiritual endeavor, you need to start asking yourself.
Who's in charge? Most people, including those in the science community, deal with world as being a physical entity. Current research in DNA to identify causes and remedies for heart diseases, cancer, and diabetes is a prime example of this. The law of cause and effect, physical model. Faulty DNA, heart disease, faulty DNA, cancer, faulty DNA, diabetes, physical problems, then physical environmental problems.
So basically, this is the Newtonian way of looking at it, right? Cause and effect. But as we start going into quantum physics, etc., theory of relativity, we start actually understanding that there are other causes which are taking place, right? It's not only what the cause and effect, it may have a different effect also.
The intellect, the conscious mind, believes it is the problem solver, that it controls what happens and what is experienced. In his book, The User Illusion, Cutting Consciousness Down to Size, science journalist Tor Nortranders paints a different picture of consciousness. He cites research studies, particularly those of Professor Benjamin Libet of University of California at San Francisco, that show that decisions are made before consciousness makes them, and that the intellect is not aware of this, believing that it decides. No, Tranders also cites research that shows that the intellect is only conscious of between 15 and 20 bits of information per second, out of millions in reaction below its awareness. If not the intellect or consciousness, then who's in charge?
So again, over here, we come back to the concept of the small guy and the big guy. We think that this guy is in charge, but this guy is really not in charge. Something else is in charge. This is also something that we get when we are doing the experiments of drawing a line, and we find that there is an energy field which exists before the line. Now, if that energy field didn't exist, then the line would not come into existence. This is also shown up in Korean photography, where they find that the energy field is there even when the physical form is not there. So it clearly, the Korean photography also clearly indicated that something at a subtler level exists before physical manifestation of anything. So anything that we do, we think that we are doing it with this guy. This guy thinks actually that we are doing it, but we are not doing, this guy is not doing it. It's coming from somewhere else, from below the line.
8th February 2005. Memories replaying dictate what the subconscious mind experiences. The subconscious mind experiences vicariously, mimicking and echoing memories, replaying it. It behaves, sees, feels, and decides exactly as memories dictate. The conscious mind too operates without its awareness by memories replaying. They dictate what it experiences, as research studies show.
So again, we come back to the fact, right, that are you operating from memory or are you operating from inspiration?
The law of cause and effect, self-identity, Ho'oponopono. Memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Physical effect, heart disease. Cause, memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Effect, physical cancer. Memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Physical effect, diabetes. Memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Physical problems, the body. Memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Physical problems, the world. The body and the world reside in the subconscious mind as creations of memories replaying, rarely as inspirations.
Now, this is really beautiful, right? We know for a fact that every 7 years, not even one cell in your body is the same as it was previously. Now, if I have a tumor somewhere, if someone has a tumor somewhere in the body, then in 7 years' time, every cell in the tumor has actually died and gone away, but the tumor still exists, right? Now, if every cell has gone away, then why is the tumor still existing? Because the blueprint is in the subconscious mind, and the memory that the tumor is there is constantly replaying. There is one video there, I think it was done by Greg Braden, where he actually shows these healers, I think it was somewhere in Japan, where they are saying that a tumor, and they're seeing it on a this thing, on a ultrasound screen, and in front of them on the ultrasound screen while they are healing, the tumor disappears. So as we clear the subconscious, if we clear the memory, then whatever issue you may have can get eradicated and cleared. The reason why we are experiencing certain things over and over again is because we are operating out of memory and not out of inspiration.
February 2005. The subconscious mind and conscious mind, comprising the soul, do not generate their own ideas, thoughts, feelings, and actions. As noted before, they experience vicariously through memories replaying and inspirations. But men may continue things after their fashion, clean from the purpose of the things themselves. William Shakespeare. It is essential to realize that the soul does not generate experiences of its own, that it sees as memories see, feels as memories feel, behaves as memories behave, and decides as memories decide. Or rarely it sees, feels, behaves, and decides as inspiration sees, feels, behaves, and decides.
So,
It is
so again, what is he saying over here? That again the same thing, right? Most of the time we are operating from memory. Some of the time we can start operating from inspiration. And what are we here to do is to increase the amount that we operate from inspiration and decrease the amount that we are operating from memory. So the more we clear ourselves, the more clarity we have in our field, the more stillness that is there in the pond, the more from inspiration we will start to act.
It is crucial in problem solving to realize that the body and the world are not the problems in and of themselves, but the effects, the consequences of memories replaying in the subconscious mind. Who's in charge?
So basically what he's saying here is that what is the soundtrack running in the background, right? That soundtrack is what dictates everything that is happening to us. Now, if we can become aware of that soundtrack and put in a track that actually takes us into an altered state, takes us into a state of harmony, takes us into a state of equanimity, then we will drop the memory operation and start operating from inspiration.
Poor soul, the center of my sinful earth, thrall to these rebel powers that thee array. Why dost thou pine within and suffer dearth, painting thy outward veils so costly gay? William Shakespeare. 12th March 2005. The void is the foundation of self-identity of mind of the cosmos. It is the precursor state to the infusion of inspirations from divine intelligence into the subconscious mind. All that scientists know is the cosmos was spawned from nothing and will return to nothing from whence it came. The universe begins and ends with zero.
So, so when they get into quantum physics, and when they are going into the deeper thing and they are actually observing how quantum particles are working, there is something called quarks, right? Now these quarks, they appear from nowhere. They don't know from where they appear, and they disappear into nowhere. Now the quarks are what the neutrons, protons, and electrons are made out of. Now, if you do not know from where something is appearing and where it is disappearing, and everything around us is made out of that, so everything is actually coming out of nothing and going back to nothing. So this is what he's saying in this paragraph, right? Now, if you look at this diagram over here, when you know everything, then you cannot experience anything because you already know everything, right? So if everything exists in you, you cannot experience anything. So over here, where he's saying that in the divine intelligence is infinite. It is the divine intelligence is infinite. There is no end and there is no beginning. Sangeeta, you are unmuting yourself all the time. Please just hang on. Right. And then you have the subconscious mind, and below that is the conscious mind and the superconscious mind, and then the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. So these are the guys we are actually working with most of the time. And when I'm talking about the guy below, it's like the superconscious mind. And once we get into zero, then it is that infinite, that it's that divine intelligence.
Memories replaying displace the void of self-identity, precluding the manifestation of inspirations. To remedy this displacement, to re-establish self-identity, memories need to be transformed to void through transmutation by divine intelligence. Clean, erase, and find your own Shangri-La, where, within yourself, Morna Nalamahu Simeona Kahuna Lapau. No stony tower, no walls of beaten brass, nor airless dungeon, nor strong links of iron can be retentive to the strength of spirit. William Shakespeare.
So again, basically what he's saying, we need to clear the memory. We need to clear memory to be able to come to that state of equanimity, that state of just being, right? So again, it's a matter of just clearing. We need to transmute, or we need to transcend memory to go into that state of void.
22nd March 2005. Existence is a gift from divine intelligence, and the gift is given for the sole purpose of re-establishing self-identity through problem solving. Self-identity Ho'oponopono is an updated version of an ancient Hawaiian problem-solving process of repentance, forgiveness, and transmutation. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Jesus, as reported in Luke 6.
So again, the same thing, right? The point is becoming aware of some problem or some issue that is creating a flutter in your field. The moment you take responsibility, you are in repentance. And then you are asking for forgiveness that, okay, I'm taking responsibility. Now, what do I do with it? I need to clear it, right? So only then can you transcend it. So the idea is to start becoming aware of what is creating the flutter, and then ultimately transcending it, asking for help for yourself to be able to transcend it from divinity. Now, this is again something which is a very important thing that we do in the excursion workshop also. One of the tools that is very important is the attitude of the ability to ask for help. Now, most of us, we shy away from asking for help. And I think this is something all of us need to transcend, that if we can ask for help and get help from someone, there is no harm in getting the help. We start looking at it as an obligation. But again, it's the concept of pay it forward. If someone has helped me and I help someone else, then I have paid it forward, right? And if we can start operating with that attitude, then we can start receiving all the help that we need to get. And in turn, we can give out as much help as possible to whoever needs our help. And then the circle starts to get completed. Now, just imagine a world where everyone is out to help each other. No one is out to hurt anyone else. We will all start living in bliss and harmony, right? And this is again something that we talked about in Celestine Prophecy, where when you're looking at the control dramas, we all need to transcend the control dramas that we play. We need to drop our facades and actually start operating out of love, out of care, out of willing giving to everyone around us.
Ho'oponopono involves the full participation of each of the four members of self-identity: divine intelligence, superconscious mind, conscious mind, and subconscious mind, working together as a unit of one. Each member has its unique part and function in problem solving memories replaying in the subconscious mind. The superconscious mind is memory free, unaffected by memories replaying in the subconscious mind. It is always one with divine intelligence. However, divine intelligence moves. So moves the superconscious mind. Self-identity operates by inspiration and memory. Only one of them, either memory or inspiration, can be in command of the subconscious mind at any given time. The soul of self-identity serves only one master at a time, usually memory, the thorn, instead of inspiration, the rose.
So, so very clearly what he is saying is that the superconscious mind is already aligned with the divine. But most of the time we are operating from memory and not from inspiration, which is the conscious and the subconscious mind or the small guy, right? What are we wanting to access is the big guy. So again, over here, he's saying very clearly the last, where the M is, right? We are constantly operating out of memory. So that is where the record player gets stuck. Gut. We are constantly replaying whatever is happening in our system. So this is something that again we talk about in all the processes that we are doing, is that you have to figure out what are the patterns in your life, because a pattern is something which is constantly repeating. If it is constantly repeating, we need to pay attention, because that is come into our lives to show us that we need to transcend this, right? So we need to find ways in which we can stop the patterns repeating in our life. And the patterns are constantly coming from memory. So if we erase the memory, then the pattern has no structure to hold it, and the pattern will also disappear.
30th April 2005. I am the self-consumer of my woes. John Clare, poet. Void is the common ground, the equalizer of all self-identities, both animate and inanimate. It is the indestructible and timeless foundation of the entire cosmos, seen and unseen. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men, all life forms are created equal. Thomas Jefferson.
So when we go into focus 15, right? Many of you have already experienced focus 10 and 12. When we go into focus 15, it is called the void. And most of the time when people experience focus 15, it's like either a white sheet or a black sheet. There is nothing there. And it's not a black, it's like a silky black that most people experience it as. And over here he says the void is the common ground, the equalizer of all self-identities, both animate and inanimate. It is indestructible and timeless foundation of the entire cosmos, seen and unseen. And what is being said in the Monroe Institute philosophy is that everything exists in focus 15. So the past, the future, everything is existing over there. So technically speaking, when you're doing past life regression, basically you're attempting to go into something, a very small part of what is stored in focus 15. Now, if we can start accessing focus 15 directly, then time and space as we know it stop existing, and we can actually start manipulating time. And this is something that some people have actually experienced. I've also experienced it in few cases, and many others who've attended the Gateway Voyage program have actually experienced the shifting of time. Okay, it's very much like what Hermione was doing in Harry Potter. She had that instrument, she was turning it, and she could attend 3 classes at the same time. Why? Because she could go forward and past in time. So it actually starts happening like that. And it's the void. Everything is existing in that. Yes, Renuji, you have to unmute. Unmute.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the diagram before this in the state of inspiration and the state of memory replaying, in the diagram, they have shown a particular rectangle in the inspiration side.
So the divinity,
What is that?
that rectangle is saying that the divinity exists in all the states.
But it's not shown in the other memory.
It's not shown here because what is happening is that you're replaying memory. So in the top it says, na, self-identity state of memory replaying and self-identity state of inspiration. So when we operate out of inspiration, then we are connected to divinity totally, right? But if we are
even at the subconscious level, that
correct,
means.
even at the subconscious and the conscious level, when we start operating out of inspiration, then we just do what we are, whatever shows up, we'll just do it. Or we get inspired to do something. So we are acting without thinking. But when you're doing it out of memory, then you're constantly, अरे मेरे तो ऐसे हुआ था, मेरा तो वैसे हुआ था, ये मेरे को ऐसे बोला था, मेरे को वो किया था, I enjoyed this, I didn't enjoy this. So we are operating from memory, right? But when you operate from inspiration, you're not thinking ki what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy, what he said, what he didn't say, it all washes away. You do what you need to do at that point in time. That's it. Okay.
So that means if you're in inspiration, at every level you are connected to the divine.
Correct, exactly.
If you're with memory, then because it keeps replaying, you don't even reach.
Absolutely. So you are not even connecting at all. You're not connected at all.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Memories replaying displace the common ground of self-identity, taking the soul of mind away from its natural position of void and infinite. Although memories displace the void, they cannot destroy it. How can nothing be destroyed? A house divided against itself cannot stand.
So,
Abraham Lincoln.
so what is he saying here? He's saying very clearly that memories displace the void. So the memories disconnect you from connecting with the void, which is the inspiration, right? Now, you cannot destroy the void because everything exists in the void and nothing exists there at the same time. So it is everything and nothing at the same time. So it cannot be destroyed.
May 5th, 2005. For self-identity to be self-identity, moment to moment, requires incessant ho'oponopono. Like memories, incessant ho'oponopono can never go on vacation. Incessant ho'oponopono can never retire. Incessant ho'oponopono can never sleep. Incessant ho'oponopono can never stop. as in your days of gladness, bear in mind the unknown evil, memories replaying, forging on behind. Jeffrey.
So what is he saying over here? That clearing has to be constantly taking place. You can never stop clearing, right? Because something or the other will keep coming up, popping up, and you need to keep clearing it, keep clearing it, keep clearing it. It's like a carpet in your house, right? Even if nothing is happening, it will still gather dust. And at the end of the day, you have to keep clearing it. So like that, we have to keep clearing ourselves of the memories. And what is he saying over here? That in your days of gladness, bear in mind the unknown evil, memories replaying are forging on behind. So if you get attached to your good memories also, it's a problem, because a good memory also is a memory, right? So we need to clear everything. We need to just go into that stillness. Now, this is a very high level of spiritual evolution that he's talking about. We need to go through the steps of having an intent, having a laksh, doing what we need to do at the physical level. Then you go into the mental and emotional level, and then you go into the spiritual level. If you want to jump into the spiritual level without going through the rigmarole, going through the matrices, then you're going to create a problem for yourself ultimately, right? So there are so many people who have spiritual emergencies. Why? Because they've not created the foundation, they've not created the ground, they've not watered the field and created the soil for the seed to be planted, and then it starts to create problem. So we need a structure, we need a base, we need a little bit of guidance to be able to go into these expanded states.
12th May 2005. The conscious mind can initiate the Ho'oponopono process to release memories, or it can engage them with blame and thinking.
So very clearly in this diagram, what he is attempting to say is that the conscious mind either can be used to clear the memories, or it can be used to engage the memories. So what are we paying attention to? What are we bringing into our conscious awareness is what actually creates our experience. So the conscious mind here is tapping into memory, right? Which is going over here. Now I can release the memory, clear the memory, and tap into the superconscious mind and into the divine mind. The moment I start clearing myself, I start connecting with the superconscious mind and the divine intelligence or the divinity within us. It's there within us. We just need to connect.
Should we stop or should we go ahead?
There are about 4 or 5 people. Chalo, theek hai, we'll do it
Tomorrow.
Okay, we'll stop here.